You space bastard! You killed my pan!
So I've wanted to watch this movie for quite a while. This is Manhunter from 1986. Two big reasons I wanted to watch it. It's directed by Michael Mann. This is his third movie, and it's also the first adaptation of the book Red Dragon by Thomas Harris. So this is the first of the series with Hannibal Lecter, of course, much more famously portrayed by Anthony Hopkins in Silence of the Lambs. And there's also a remake of this in 2002 called Red Dragon. So I guess it's just really hard to distinguish this from the remake because it is the retelling of the same book. The reason this wasn't called Red Dragon, the book is called Red Dragon, I guess one of the producers had a movie with the word dragon in it, and it did really bad, so he didn't want to do another movie with the word dragon in it, so they changed it to Manhunter, which is how they refer to the main character, William Graham. They say he's a manhunter. He's like an FBI profiler. So Will Graham is played by William Peterson, and he's probably most recognizable for CSI. He's been in CSI for about 13 years. I never watched that, but I recognize him the most for being the dad in the movie Fear with Mark Wahlberg and Reese Witherspoon. So he plays Will Graham. He's an FBI profiler. He caught Hannibal Lecter, and the movie starts and he's in retirement, or he'd quit. But his boss, Jack Crawford, comes and wants him to come back, help them out. They really need him. There's a new killer on the loose. Jack Crawford is played by Dennis Farina in this movie. He's recognizable, very recognizable character actor. But there's a serial killer on the loose. He's nicknamed the Tooth Fairy for leaving his indentation of his teeth on victims and stuff like that. And they want Will to come back because he's the best they have. And he doesn't want to. He's been retired. His wife doesn't want him to. But eventually, he gets convinced to come back. So he does, and he's working this case, and he tries to get help from Hannibal Lecter. He's played by Brian Cox in this movie, a very big named actor. Troy, some of the Bourne movies. I really like Brian Cox. He's a great actor. So he plays Hannibal Lecter in this, and like I said, this is the first time he'd been portrayed in film. And eventually we get to see the actual serial killer. His name's Francis Dollarhide, and he's played by Tom Noonan in this. And I don't know if he's that recognizable as a character actor. I recognize him from The Last Action Hero, the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. He plays like the Ripper, a killer in that movie. So that's what I always think of him in that. And he pops up in other movies too. So those are the main characters in play. And Will gets threatened by Dollarhide. Hannibal Lecter and him have a bit of an exchange. They give Will's address to Dollarhide, and so there's this big scare that he's going to attack his family. And then eventually there's also a bit of a romance that comes into play. Joan Allen, who is in the last two Bourne movies, Bourne Ultimatum, Bourne Supremacy, she plays a blind. I think she works with like a photographer. She develops film, but she's blind, and she starts to have a relationship with Dollarhide kind of towards the end of the film. But it's kind of hard to review just because it's so hard, especially because I like the remake Red Dragon so much. It's hard not to compare the two. I guess there's not really a point to not compare them, but like I said again, I wanted to watch it because it's one of Michael Mann's first movies, and I love Heat and Collateral and a couple of other movies, so I really wanted to watch this. And it's not nearly as good as his later movies, so it's not even close to being anything like Heat or Last of the Mohicans or Collateral, but it's still a good movie. It kind of has the feel he was largely responsible as a producer for Miami Vice, in like the 80s, and it kind of has a bit of that feel to it. This is 1986, not as stylized, and it's not set. It's not like it's Miami, crazy South Beach Miami, but so not his best work. It's decent. I'm giving it a 3 out of 5. So it's worth it if you want to check out Michael Mann's, his whole filmography, or if you're just interested to see a different portrayal of the, Hannibal Lecter type characters that are in those books, if you're really into the books. But I can't, in my right mind, recommend this over Red Dragon. So in Red Dragon, of course, Anthony Hopkins repeats his role as Hannibal Lecter, and he just, he is incredible as that role, so he can't be beat with him. And also, Ralph Fiennes plays Dollarhide in Red Dragon. He does an amazing job in that as well. I think just overall, the characters are developed a lot more, and they're a lot more fleshed out in the remake Red Dragon. And even just like a side character that's not really as important is a reporter that's played by played by Philip Seymour Hoffman in Red Dragon. He does an amazing job on that. And then in Manhunter in this movie, it's just a throwaway character. It doesn't really add much to it. It's not really scary. It's not really like a horror film. It's just more of a crime thriller, and a bit of a mystery going on. And there's a lot more focus on Will's character, Will Graham, and there's not really much of emphasis on Hannibal Lecter at all, so don't be looking for that. He's just in a couple scenes pretty much, whereas, of course, in Red Dragon, he's a bit more prominent because, Anthony Hopkins won an Oscar playing him, or did he win? I think he won an Oscar for it. But yeah, so that's what I'll say. I mean, check it out if you want to for Michael Mann and for a different portrayal of the characters. But if you're going to check one out, definitely watch Red Dragon. It's much more superior, so decent movie though. So sign off, I'll say, well, I guess just you and me, sport.